Okay, welcome everyone to the Pro Trader and Plus preliminary University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report. My name is Lee Goldstein, the Trading Director at 10 Minute Trades. Please remember, all the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. I am not a financial advisor, so trade carefully, please. All right, markets are opening right now. I just happen to be watching the MNQ on my right chart, and I'm watching gold on my left chart. So I had a pretty rotten morning trading some earnings, and I just want to pass along a piece of useful information. I'm definitely a firm believer in not trying to trade 80 million different instruments. Try to become an expert in just one or two, and then don't have 1,000 setups either. A couple of setups, become an expert on a couple of setups. That's what I would recommend. And the reason I say this, so I had lost about $500 scalping after an earnings trade incorrectly, very honestly, for full transparency. I chased instead of waited. Long story short, I know gold very, very well. And I knew that when gold got to this point here at about 9 o'clock, it had made new high after new high after new high. Gold has a pattern. It starts selling off after it makes those new highs. So I made most of my money back trading the gold sell-off. And I did it not being able to really pay attention because I've got to get ready for trade rooms. I've got to do next week's schedule. You really want to be able to focus your attention so that you can do things properly, set your targets properly, your stops properly. But learn one or two instruments like the back of your hand. And I'm telling you, it will absolutely make trading much easier for you. If you try to trade every instrument, it's going to be more difficult. Anyway, our open traders, a couple of folks had nice opens, it looks like. I didn't look at the YM. So Nitin, it looks like you had a quick short on the MNQ. And the YM was a real easy short, it looks like, this morning. Okay. Very honestly, um, it would be a lot of fun to trade the open every morning, but I'm not prepared to make the commitment to trade an open every single day. But I am thinking if we have, um, so I believe my favorite day to trade the open is Monday. That's my favorite open day. We hardly ever have trade rooms on Mondays, so it's probably never going to happen that we're going to trade the opens on Monday. It's just not going to happen. I need Mondays to do a million of the other things that I have to do. But what I'm thinking is because it's really enjoyable and potentially good profit opportunities to trade the opens. And I agree with Nitin. I think I like the YM better as well. I think it's just moves a little bit less volatile. Um, Although, ironically, if I go back like 12 years, the YM is the only account I ever blew up when I was trading just as a regular retail trader before I found news. I blew up a YM account in my cash account. And it wasn't with opens or anything like that. It was just with stupid trading because I didn't know what I was doing. Um, I guess the point I'm trying to make here is so when we have a 9:30 trade room, I think that what I'm going to do is make that trade room 15 minutes earlier going forward, and we will make that also into a market open trade room. So I'm assuming everybody would enjoy that and would be in favor of that. If you feel like just typing in, if you want to do that, let me know. Obviously, you don't have to come until 9:30. But if you look at this past week, what would that have meant for this past week? It would have meant that now, very honestly, if we've got a really busy morning, um, like Tuesday, July 15th, we had an 8 o'clock trade room. Um, I could probably be convinced to do an open on a day where it's busy because we're already busy. So adding one more room is not that big a deal. But going by what I'm just saying, so we had an open on Wednesday. What I'm also interested in doing is having open trade rooms after big 8:30 news. So if there's a jobs report, I want to do an open. If there's a GDP report, I want to do the open. If there's retail sales, I want to do the open. So I would have done the open on Thursday. I would have done the open. We did plan to do the open on Wednesday just because we did. We had PPI. And then on Friday, we would have had an open this morning because we have a 9:30 trade room. So I think we could wind up with 2 or 3 open trade rooms a week at a minimum. I think we could wind up with 2 or 3. So I kind of like the idea. Um, I'm not going to start next week because I can't, but I will start the week after. Okay? If there's any days I can do next week, I will. If I know I'm going to be around, so Monday is a day where if there's no trade rooms, it's the only day I ever really have off because I do testing with Chantal on Sundays, schedules, videos on Saturday. I never have time off, honestly, and I haven't had any in 8 years, hardly any. Anyway, let's talk about preliminary University of Michigan. So this is a difficult trade to decide how to trade it. I think that what's going to happen today is the consumer confidence news is going to be good, and the inflation part of the trade, the news report's going to be good also. Um, what I don't like about this report is that there were 4 whipsaws in 2024, but we have not had those whipsaws in 2025. So it's definitely been trading better. I'm going to go traditional today, traditional breakout on gold. That's my main trade. And I'll probably trade I'm so tempted. I love the trap trade in general. I just love trading trap trades. The ES breakout, not my favorite setup for this report, very honestly. Um, just to give you a heads up, it was kind of difficult in May. It whipped in June. It had a good trade in February, but it is not, in my opinion, the best setup. When there's a breakout for all, obviously, then it's a very good trade. So first, the main trade I'm going to go with, because performance is strong, I'm going to go with the traditional gold breakout. Now, I also made money this morning. I did trade building permits and earning and housing starts, and it was not easy. But if you just waited, it filled pretty quickly, but then you had to wait for it to hit the target. And I did worry that it was failing because it looked like it was a nick fill and it was going to fail. Let's set up our trades. I'll show you the video and I'll give you the setup so everybody has that setup that I used. So on preliminary university, it's a breakout, and we're going to trigger at 9:59. It's a bracket of 15, and the bracket's important. Um, a bracket of 15 kept it safe in April. April would have been a stop unless you used a bigger bracket. And we're going to use targets of 10 and 25. And the stop is 20. And I will use the break even -5 on this report if target 1 is hit. Target 1 stop move. So it'll be labeled breakout GC. I set the time momentarily to 0 with everything on sim so we can watch our bracket generate so that we can control the width of the bracket just to manage the trade. That's the only reason we do it. It's to manage the trade. And then I'm going to go back, put the time back to 9:59:59 is the trigger activation time, bracket of 15. Position 1 is a 1, position 2 is a 1. Target 1 is 10 ticks, target 2 is 25 ticks. The stop is 20 ticks. If target 1 stop move, that means if target 1 gets hit, I'll move my stop to break even -5. And I'll put that back on account 19. I made back about 3/4 of the money. I made all the money back with the 3 trades. The 2 extra trades I took after the earnings trade room, but one of them I traded in a different account. So this count is still a little bit down. So I'll trade the breakout in the account that I've been trading all morning with earnings. So we have a breakout gold. And then I do want to trade. I think I'm just going to go with the breakout. I'm not going to trade the trap trade today. Now, if you want to trade the MES, you could the MES instead of the ES. You can do that. You could trade MES. MES 0925 on this report. So I'll set up an MES breakout. 9:59:59 on the trigger. And we've got a 12 bracket, and we'll go for targets of 8. I'm going to go 20, 8 and 20 with a BE -4, target 1 stop move, and a stop of 35. And just one position on each just to see how the ES does on this report. So we'll do the same thing and set it to 0. label it MES breakout, and then when you put the time on 0, you can check your bracket. If it's too wide, you can bring it down. The MES is in a pretty tight range this morning. I think the markets are probably taking a break. I don't think it'll be a very busy day, although Trump has a bill signing. The crypto bill is being signed at 2 p.m. So that could be a volatile trading time for scalpers. 959.59 on the breakout, the activation. 12 bracket, 8 and 20 on the targets, 35 on the stop, MES. Target one stop move, break even -4. All right. Any questions about the setups? Everybody good on the setups? And you know what I'll do? I'll set up a third chart. I'll just sim the trap trade on gold. I don't want to have 3 live setups. Now, MES, let me put it on a real account. So hang on. If we have a setup, I'd like to at least test it in a prop account. I mean, that's what prop accounts are for. So we've got the MES on 18. Our gold trade breakout is on 19. And then I'm putting up a third chart. Also going to be gold, trap trade, so it has to be on a different account. I guess I'm just going to sim it. I'm tempted to trade it. I like the trap setup on this. But my thinking today is I just think we're going to get a strong report in one direction, where all the news is good. It's going to push gold up. Gold's already bullish. I usually don't like to try and outthink myself. I don't like to try and guess what the news is going to be. So I'm choosing the trap trade as the strategy. 9, 59, 55. The stop is 25. Tier 1 is 25, 23. Tier 2 is 38. We've had some good sized moves on this report. So I'll do 23 and 40. And that's the trap trade. One more time. 959.55 trigger. Stop is 25. 23 tier 1. 40 on tier 2. And I'm trading it in a prop account. I can't stop myself. Let me make sure I pick the right account. Looking at 17 for that one. Now, I do want to see where my orders wind up, so I don't have to spend a lot of time managing this trade. So for a moment, I'm going to set the time to 0. Enable the trade by clicking the checkbox. It's not going to fill. My orders are far away. And see how that's like a perfect spread of the charts? I do not like that the stop is right at the high. I don't want to be filled short. I really don't. Well, so here's the thing. Thinking if the news is great, it should push gold down. It should push gold down. I'm not loving a short though. If it pushes gold down initially, it would put us in the market long, right? If it goes down, it goes long. If it goes up first, it'll fill us short. So I still think, let's see if I'm wrong or right. Let's see what happens. I'm trading it normally. I'm not going to control the direction I get filled. All right. I'm going to just let all my trades trade, and whatever will be, will be. I will initially manage the breakout trade on the left. Okay. Now I've been seeing all day today strange little jerks in price. Like, look at that little weird jerk in the ES we just saw. Um, I'm looking to see if there's any news that's like unique, or not really seeing anything in the news feeds. Okay, here's last month's. So last month we had a gold breakout on the left, MES breakout in the middle. The MES hits the first target, pulls back, so it was just a small profit. And then gold I canceled. I didn't really like the move. Might have been a little premature on it. What a surprise, but sometimes you just do it. It wasn't a bad cancel because it really didn't follow through very well. So it was not a great mover last month. The month before, I think it was a whipsaw on the ES, but a very good move on gold. I'm just curious, do you enjoy seeing the previous month's videos? Is that something that you consider an important part of the trade room? And is it something you like? Just type in if it's something you like. Do you like? Do you not care? The ES looked like the data froze a bit for an instant, and that caused a bad trade. Gold had a perfect breakout. The ES was a problem. Yes, Calvin, that's a couple of people have checked in as well that the open was good this morning. Watching the ES breakout, it was a very fast move, so it was a bad fill. It may not have been the data. It might have just have been a bad fill. It could have been a bad fill. And then housing permits, building permits, housing starts. I traded that 8:30 this morning. Years ago, not years ago, but about a year ago, we used to have a setup for it. I used a 12 bracket and targets of 8 and 20. You could see it looked like it was going to fill and stop us out. I use a stop of 20 on a report, on most reports at 8:30. Calvin, that's interesting. You don't like the videos. How come? Just curious. So on this trade, you could see I combined my targets because we'd been making new high, new high, new high, new high. The news was good, and I was surprised gold was still going up. It should have been going down on the news. Part of the issue was, if you look what happened, gold was selling off before the news. And then the news came out and it went the opposite direction. And sometimes we just see that happen where things do the opposite. But I combined the targets to a smallish first target, but two contracts, and patiently just waited. Bingo. So wound up making, I think, a buck 60. So it was worth trading. All right, so let's see what happens with all these various setups. And I did want to thank everyone that's watching on YouTube. Thanks for joining. So we've got 2 minutes to go. I understand, Calvin. I got you. I could put three clocks on the chart. We could put top clock Eastern, middle clock Central, bottom clock Pacific. Talk about confusing. That would make it even crazier. All right, the breakout setup, 15 bracket on gold, 20 stop, targets of 10 and 25. All right, 40 seconds. Last event for the day. We do have a webinar at noon. It's earnings season. Everyone's invited. All right, here we go. 15 seconds. There's the trap. Breakout. I definitely saw frozen orders, and it changed the placement of all my orders on gold. The placement was totally changed. I'll show you in the video. All the news was really good, and that may cause a stop out in gold if it behaves properly. I'm going to combine the orders like I did in that building permits trade because I really just want out of this trade because it's going to go down. The news was too good. The news was too good. The trap didn't fill. The ES went all the way to the top of the candle and filled at the tippy top of the candle. So the question is, can it survive? It's good news. So we should see, I would like to think the ES will continue up. Would you expand your stop a little bit? I would. Below the spike candle, I'd probably go below the low If the ES decides to make a new low, then I'm out of here. Otherwise, it'll go make a new high. That's how tight the range is. The trap trade I would cancel. It didn't move enough. It didn't move enough. Prop data feed changed the placement of our orders. So that's pretty annoying. I don't recall seeing that happen. I don't recall seeing that happen. I just don't recall seeing that happen. So this particular report behaved the way gold should have behaved. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why didn't you just trade it short? Well, the problem, gold was pretty bullish before the report, almost $30 bullish. But every time we try to choose a direction, it often backfires. It's very, very hard to try and figure out what direction news is going to make the market go. We've just learned over and over and over it's better. Let the trade play out if you're going to take the trade. Occasionally, it does look like you could have picked the direction, but it's definitely more occasional than more often. So the trap didn't fill. The breakout was damaged, I think, definitely damaged by frozen data. And this is a report that has seen frozen data more than once. Um, I'm a little bit surprised that this report is having so much data difficulty, but it is. Make sure your gold breakout is canceled. I'll show the video in a minute. If the ES goes to the low, it'll stop out this small trade. I'm not going to wait half an hour for this trade to resolve itself. If it doesn't resolve in a minute or two, I'm going to show the video and then I'm done. Whatever it is, it is. But you could see gold did not really find a good direction from this news. It went up, it went down, it went up, it went down. It really should have just been an exploding short because it was very good news. 58.6 versus 55 on the expectations. Sentiment was up, small up on sentiment, but very nicely big on current conditions, and inflation way lower than expected, even though that's fraudulent. It's still considered good news. There's no low inflation. There is no such thing as low inflation. It doesn't exist. I don't know whose life it exists in. It certainly doesn't exist in the average person's life. All right. What do you feel about it? How do you all feel? Do you think that inflation is low? You tell me. Is inflation low in your life? Okay, let's look at this video and see what happened. That's what I'm saying, TJ. If you watch TV, inflation's down, but if you go to the supermarket and your driver doesn't do it for you, like rich people, super rich, right? Look, the uber rich, athletes, politicians, all these people that make the rules that we have to live by, they don't live by our rules. They have drivers, they have people doing things for them. Most of them don't even know how to shop in a supermarket. We've seen it over and over. They don't know what inflation is. They're just looking at these fake numbers. Okay, hey Donald, I really, really appreciate those emails, and I'm going to look at them very seriously. I just haven't had a lot of time this week, so keep sending them because I like them a lot. And you know I love the squeeze also. Okay, good, good. I'm trying to think. We, at one time, we worked on a strategy. I don't know if anybody's here that remembers it. It was called Betty, and the squeeze was part of it. And we automated this strategy, but it was more than just the squeeze. And it was just something we didn't finish um, for a whole bunch of different reasons. But the squeeze was part of it, and it was automated. But it wasn't, I don't remember whose squeeze it was. I don't think it was the squeeze from Lizard. Um, I guess, Donald, I had one question for you since you're here, and I can ask it. I'm sorry about the phone noise, folks. Um, I need to let it ring. I'm not answering it, obviously. Um, are those paid squeezes? None of those squeezes are free. Am I correct? You've paid for all those squeezes, right? That's what I didn't know. If any of their squeezes are free, or if you have to pay for all of them. One of them is free. Okay. Hey everyone. So I'm not going to wait around for this MES to resolve. I'll show you this trade. So yeah, after the fact, of course, we should have traded after the news. I mean, short only. Like I was thinking, all the news was good. I know gold normally goes short. I don't think it was the data being frozen that ruined the trade. I think it was all the news being good that ruined the trade more. See, watch, the orders are going to change location. We were we were already in the trade anyway, so it didn't matter. It just popped up on the news and then it went in the direction that gold normally would go when news is extremely good. It pushed down. Would it have been a giant winner? No, it wouldn't have been a giant winner. It was not a good breakout. It just wasn't a very good move. It was up and down in 3 minutes. It had a totally different move on each candle. So there was not a good follow through on any of the candles. So it didn't work because it went up on us at first. They were 20 tick candles. So at best, maybe you might have been able to get a one contract out of a breakout on gold. It just was not a good trade. Yeah. Calvin calls them the orange orders of death. It's data freezing. It's data freezing. And when I ask everyone about it, when I ask the prop companies about it, they just blame Ninja. They don't blame, their anything to do with them. They just put it on Ninja. So, I mean, we never had this kind of problem in a cash account. Every now and then you do get you could get some freezing, but honestly, not to the level that we see trading prop. It's just the way it is. Breakouts are difficult, can be difficult in general as a way of trading, but it's exacerbated in the prop accounts. I don't really understand why. I would think it'd be less difficult because there's sim accounts. So, but they won't explain it, so I can't make them explain it. Everybody, let me just say thank you everyone on YouTube for watching.